listeners, please work with me for today.
I was feeling all low energy today, but talking about love triangles just perks you up.
Yeah, say it anyway.
Yay, we did it.
Hey there, we're the Reading Queens, and we're here to blab about our favorite books, why we love them, and the book boyfriends we wish were real. And welcome back to our show. We're so excited you're here. I'm Valia. Hi. And today I'm joined by three of our awesome queens. Ladies, please say hello.
Hi, I'm Joanna.
I'm Hanna.
And I'm Abby.
And honestly, you guys, I am so excited about this episode because this is just going to be great. So first, how is everybody doing today?
Doing great.
I am excited because yesterday I got to take a pottery class, which I've never done pottery before, and also right now, like, you really can't go anywhere or do anything in BC, so when I was told I could go take pottery, I was like, sign me up!
So were you, like, throwing it on the wheel and stuff?
No, apparently you have to take, like, pottery lessons to do that. They don't let you at a wheel when it's a, 2-hour class. We made tumblers, which are, like, mugs with no handles.
Oh, they're like naked mugs.
Like, naked, well, I mean... we decorated them, so I guess they're not naked. We each got, you got, circles and then a rectangle. And so you, fold the rectangle, around to make the sides, and then the circles at the bottom. But we got to, just decorate, carve into them or use, stamps and stuff to make them
Oh, fun.
look cool. And then we leave them there, and then she dries them, and in a month or something, we got to pick our glazes. I'll have cups. So I made them for my kids and for my niece, because there's 4 mugs, but there's 5 people in my family, so I was like, who doesn't get a cup?
Who do I love the least?
I know. So I went with the children and made them all, their favorite animal in cup form.
That's adorable. Were there any elephants? I love, elephant-themed things.
Okay. No, sadly. There was... I can't control this because this is their own selves. So there was a panda and a cat. And my niece I did a wolf for, but then my 4-year-old has this bat that she sleeps with every night.
Oh my gosh, that's cute.
Batty. So I made a bat, so it's got a little bat face, and then on the sides it's got little bat wings.
Aww,
That's cute.
And I think it will be amazing, and I might steal it sometimes. But so I'm excited because they don't know what I did, so I'm excited in a month when I get to show them. Hopefully.
You'll have to post them online, too.
I'll put them on my Instagram, maybe. Yeah, or, share them with the Reading Queens Instagram.
Yeah.
So it was fun. I mean, I'm an artsy person, but I've never done pottery before. So.
I've tried once, but it was so hard to throw the clay thing. It was like a workout. I was sweating by the end of it.
Yeah. What did you make?
I tried to make some bowls and some plates, and they ended up misshapen lump things that I just kind of painted pretty colors.
Well, and
that's that handmade look.
Yeah, I could sell it for a lot.
right in the center. I took pottery in high school, and that, I swear we spent a month just trying to figure out how to get it centered.
Did you have one of those pedals that you could step on to spin the wheel?
Yeah.
Oh, those are nice. Those are nice.
Is that how yours was? Did you
or was it electric?
Well, okay, it's electric, and so you could it did most of the work for you, and so you just had to muscle the clay onto the thing and make it stand, get in the center, versus manually having to pump the wheel to do it. So I had it easy, and I still couldn't do it.
I know. I think we did pottery in high school too, but I don't even remember us having that. I think we just had one where we had to do it with our hands. So we literally had a scraper that we had to scrape around ourselves instead of it being a spin thing. And yeah, it was a whole thing that my shoulders were sore afterwards. But it was fun though. I know they used to have, there was a place near one of the movie theaters around here that had a pottery quote unquote thing where kids could come in and they get a freshly made mug or bowl, and then you decorate it, and then they stick it in and glaze it and whatever, and then you can pick it up. So it was Pottery Light, because it's for kids to decorate.
So that's kind of what I did.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Pottery Light. But it's fun. I think it's really fun to make something that's yours and stuff. Anyway. That's cool. I didn't do anything exciting this week, so.
I wish I did too. Oh, I tried dictating this week. That was super fun. I like walked around my house on my cell phone and I looked really cool doing it, but you know, the results weren't quite as impressive as I hoped they'd be.
Was it that you didn't get a lot of, like, was it awkward to do the words or just program?
I think it's just awkward to do the words. And I mean, there's no one around the house except my dogs, and like they don't care. I just talk to them all the time. So they're used to me talking into space. And so I don't know. I think it's easy to type things, but it's harder to speak things. Like it just gets caught in my brain somewhere.
Yeah, it's a different type of a process for sure. Because I don't know, like when you're talking, I can talk my story through with like my mom. I can tell her everything, and I can even tell her like scenes. But when I go to dictate, it's like my brain shuts down, and I have to like, wait, what am I even doing here?
Because you're like, don't get the wrong words. It has to be right.
It's like freeze or fight mode for your brain. It's almost like public speaking, except not at all.
Because you are not in public. Yeah, it should be easier somehow, but it's not. But it's cool. It's just like another way for us to write. But that's fun. Joanna, did you get to do anything exciting this week?
I tried dictating also. That was
that's true.
was a bit exciting of my week.
This is a cool thing in our author group right now.
Yeah, we started this. We're trying it. We'll see how it goes.
I hope it works.
You might hear about this again. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's cool. I think we should just go ahead and start talking about this trope because I am very much excited. Yes, it's so good. I wonder if you guys guessed it correctly because I felt like the books we read were pretty telling without being super telling. Because if we picked some other books, you guys wouldn't have. Yes, exactly. But yeah, let's just dive in. Let's just do it.
Most controversial trope of
Dun,
all
dun,
time.
dun.
True.
Yes.
True.
Dun dun dun. Love triangles. So I had a serious question to start this off. It's really important. I need to know if you guys are Team Jacob or Team Edward. And you can tell by what order I said it in which one I am. I'm like Team Jacob or that other guy. Which one are you?
Definitely. For me was Team Edward. But I also anyway, I'm gonna not get into that right now. Joanna, what about you?
I am also Team Edward.
I'm on my own here. Abby, are you gonna back me up?
Team, I actually haven't read or seen this, so
I can't believe
She's
that.
Team Too Cool for Twilight.
I'm Team Bella, maybe? I don't know.
Ooh, I don't know if you should be Team Bella, but
I know nobody should be Team Bella.
If it was like set in space
Bella.
or something, or had like turns out Edward was a ghost the whole time, I think I'd be way more into it.
I mean, he's a werewolf.
Not vampires? Yeah, you don't like the vampire.
I like Vampire
lore?
Diaries, but I don't know, like.
Okay, so Team
Okay.
Team Damon.
I'm Team Damon on that one for sure.
Me too.
And I can't comment on that one, so I guess we're even.
Well,
And I'm gonna be quiet.
wait, do you not have one?
No, you need an opinion. You have to have an opinion.
I'm Team Stefan. I had I'm sure the listeners are tired of me talking about this because I have mentioned this before. I was very annoyed because like the whole situation with Damon and stuff, like they literally just made it so that the fans would be happy, and that always makes me really angry. But I don't know. I was in that whole rebellious stage where people would always pick like the bad boy and like the new love interest that came in, and I'm like, no, I just want them to be like together, like the first love or whatever. And it never happened for me, so I'm bitter, but it's fine.
It's fine.
It's not a problem.
I would argue that Team Jacob is the healthier choice, though.
Oh.
I mean, it was fine, I guess, in the end. She was a vampire. Everything's fine. But I felt like he was, like, the nice one out of those two. Who was, like, not weird and didn't watch her while she slept. And just wanted to be friends. And
I really do love that meme that talks about how if this was an episode of Criminal Minds, like, he would be the unsub that they're looking for. Instead of the love interest. And I'm like, yeah, that is true.
It's all perspective.
It's true, yeah. Which I think is why love triangle is such an interesting trope, because it's where very much like either loved or hated. Like there's not really anybody who's like in the middle, who's like, yeah, I like it, I don't like it, whatever. Like, no, you give them a book like Twilight and they're gonna give you your opinion, like 100%. Or, you know, Hunger Games, that's another really big one that it's like you ask them, they're gonna tell you.
I know.
Team Gale or Team
I
Peeta,
feel like I was just Team Liam Hemsworth. I didn't really have a strong opinion other than that. Who she should be with.
I can see that.
I feel like she was kind of fine either way. I didn't think she was like super into romance in those books, but
right.
I would have gone with Liam Hemsworth. I'm just saying. It's always a
I have a
Hemsworth.
theory as to why everyone has opinions about this though. Because, okay, here's my theory.
Okay.
In real life, that never happens. Like, there's never two people vying for your attention at the same time, and like the world depends on it.
You're like, oh, who should I choose?
Like you don't really ever have tons of options. I mean, that sounds so terrible to say, but like it's like a story. It's fantasy. It's, you know, of course you're going to have multiple, you know, love interests at the same time, and you're going to feel special.
Like, it's hard enough to find one.
Yeah, but then you have
yeah,
two
tell me about
awesome
it.
ones, and so you can pick.
Yeah.
Unless you're on The Bachelor.
Yeah, there you go.
Bachelorette.
Joanna's like, why stop at two?
All of them.
That's funny. It's true. It is true because it's very like fantastical, but also realistic enough that it like draws people in. Because when it comes to magic, it's like you're not gonna discover that you are a chosen one. You know, like
I keep hoping.
I know. Sorry, you guys, I spoiled your whole life for you, but like that's the thing. Like there's certain things about fantasy that when you look at it, like you're not gonna be living in a castle, or you're not, you know, there's things that not gonna happen to you. But when it comes to like the romance, dreams. I know, it's okay, it's fine. You're better off having the truth right now. But yeah, with like the love triangle, I feel like that's one that's like it's possible. Not that it's gonna happen, but it's possible because it's like romance. It's like, you know, that's what draws us in and stuff. So anyway.
And I do feel like I've sometimes read books that I'm not that into just to see, like, I'll just finish them just to see who she ends up with.
Oh, been there.
Yeah, that's true.
When you're like, I don't really know what's happening or care. Like, oh, I shouldn't give out examples because then people will hate me. But I'm trying to remember.
But I want to know.
I forget what it's called now, though. The one where you don't know who's who. You don't know which one's the prince and which one's the assassin.
The Kiss of Deception.
Kiss of Deception. I did not enjoy Kiss of Deception. I did not think it was terribly intriguing or well written. Sorry, Kiss of Deception fans. I tried so hard. I tried. I got like halfway through book 2, and then I was just like, I'm done with this. But I not only do you wonder who she's going to end up with, but you don't know which one's the prince and which one's the assassin because she hides it from you the whole way. So you're like wanting to find out. So at least I read enough to find out who.
That's sneaky.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
It was so sneaky. It kept me going.
But I thought she like gives it away at the end of book 1.
No, she does give it. She does give it away at the end of book 1, which is probably why I didn't survive book 2.
Yeah, didn't get past book 1 because I mean I have the whole trilogy, but I just haven't like read it. But I remember reading book 1, and the fact that you didn't know is what kept me reading for sure.
It's super interesting.
And, like, it was funny though because I ended up being right on who it was. Like I picked who it was, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But I'm like, "But why? Is it just because I liked him better?"
And then you're like, "What do I like? Do I want him to be the prince? Do I care who's the prince?"
Right,
okay,
yeah.
Here's a question then: if you got to have a prince or an assassin, which would you choose?
I guess it depends on the circumstances. The assassin could protect you well in a
kill
dangerous
you.
world. Or kill you.
Or kill you.
A prince could just try and kill you, but be bad at it, though. You don't know.
Or you could be a princess.
I think I would go with assassin just based on the fact that I don't want to be a princess or like rule a kingdom. Like that's just too much responsibility for me. So an assassin feels like a more freedom of a life.
That's a good point.
Life with an assassin.
You can run free through the forests.
Hey, if he's if he's an assassin, he's probably, I'm gonna say, based on every book that I read, he's probably very attractive.
Yes.
So,
and I think that assassins are like, they're usually extremely competent, which I also find attractive.
That's true.
So, you know, bumbling assassins aren't.
Well, they die.
They don't live long, I think. Yeah.
They don't make it far in that career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you always love the trope, like, of a guy who is terrible. Well, not terrible, but, like, has no emotions until, like, the right girl breaks him down and makes him feel things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have to go assassin, too.
Abby, did you just
which
say
is funny because I write
and...
about princes.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I just said.
I was gonna say.
I just said husband, and he just walked in the
And
room.
your
Yeah, I
husband
like
walked
summoned
in.
him. Yeah, I was saying I should make him moonlight as an assassin at night, and then that would be really fun.
There you go.
He just gave me a look.
just to spice things up a little.
Yeah. That's hilarious. It is true though, because I feel like princes are usually like very I'm not gonna say wishy-washy, but they're usually
Pampered
in books.
often.
Yeah, and they're like, I don't know if I want to be a prince. I don't know if I want to rule this kingdom or whatever. But the assassins are usually like, okay, here's my to-do list. There's 5 people on it.
Clear sense of purpose.
Yes.
Type B versus type A.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm
this
definitely type
conversation
A.
today is gonna just like bring out all our problematic taste in fictional men. Like we haven't even hardly started.
I know, that's true. Okay, maybe we should, because we'll keep talking about this obviously, but Joanna can start us off with an actual book that she read, and then we can dive into that.
Which has a
prince and an assassin. So,
Hey.
segue.
It's true.
I read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I know everyone's read this, but this was the first time I've read this series.
Ooh.
I've read the first book in the Court of Thorn and Roses. I haven't made it past the first book, but I really like this series so far. So, quick, brief synopsis for those of you who haven't read it. Have you guys all read it?
Oh yeah.
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm like preaching to the choir here. Okay, how do we say your name? Selena?
Selena?
Yeah. Good job.
Selena Sardothian. Did I say that right?
I love how you didn't ask about the last name.
Who cares?
It's just the first name. Go ahead.
So she's an assassin. She was a famous assassin before she was captured and taken to a labor camp.
She was slightly less competent.
Yeah. Not as type A.
She was captured. But the story begins when, and this is like in the first paragraph, speaking of good first lines, when a hooded man in black escorts her to see the crown prince, Prince Dorian. So right off the bat, we meet both sides of her love triangle. Dorian proposes that she come with him to compete as his choice to become the king's champion, aka the king's assassin, and hopefully a more competent assassin. So she has to compete in a series of trials against other assassins and thugs and criminals for the title. Several of the contestants wind up mysteriously dead, brutally murdered, but that wasn't the part of the book that I was most interested in.
You're like, yeah.
Somebody died, whatever.
Because
moving on to the romance.
love triangle. I love triangles, so this was like right. I know some people hate them, but this is like right in my wheelhouse.
Joanna's like living her best life.
There's a reason you chose me for this one.
Yes.
So she obviously, I already said, but she meets them both right here off the bat. You could argue it begins with enemies to lovers because her relationship with the hooded man in black, who is, let's see if I say his name right,
Kale.
Kale?
I know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I read like 5 books before someone was like, and Kale. And I was like, what?
That's how I pronounce it. When I look at it, it's Kale. I don't see
I called
anything
it like
else.
Chow or something.
Yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
apparently it's Kale.
Kale, the captain of the guard, because they have like all kinds of bantering and they hate each other, but there's clearly
all the
that
things we love.
Yep.
yes. Underlying
Tension.
attraction there, tension, yes. So after I read it, I was looking at lots of reviews, and a lot of people were giving her crap because she does a lot of thinking about, oh, I could so easily get away. Oh, I could so easily kill all these people and get to freedom, and yet she does nothing. Luckily, I read the second book, and that's not how it is. But throughout this first one, she slowly gets closer to both of these men. She trains lots of training sessions at Valia.
I love those scenes.
Yep.
And she has to be escorted everywhere and watched by Kale. He reminds me a little bit of Dmitry Belikov from Vampire Academy, where they're always like going on runs together and training together. But there's definitely an increase, like with the romance in this. There's an increase of like the looking at each other and the touch, like what is it, the levels of touch to increase in the romance. I just thought it was really well done.
Levels of intimacy.
Really
that's what it's called.
That's what it's called. That's what it's called.
This is a writer thing, by the way, you guys. If you don't know what it is, there's like this like scale of things where at the bottom it's like looking at each other, and at the top it is sex, and there's like all the stuff in between. So no matter what level you're trying to get to in your book, you want to like work up to it slowly so that people are like, oh, I could feel it. Oh, their fingers touched. Oh, he looked at her, you know.
Sparkle, sparkle, bang, bang.
Oh, I can tell that they're, well, not, doesn't have to be bang, bang. No, I'm kidding.
Side note, sorry. Continue.
So I thought that, I mean, and when she talks about levels of touch, it's not always necessarily they want to touching, but they notice something is there. I noticed that whenever any of the three of them are on scene, there's, even if it's not spoken, there's that hint of romance, even between Dorian and Cole. Okay, tell me. Kale. Because they're like,
so what
best
did you
friends,
think,
but
like the
it's
first time
she's
you
there
read
with
this?
them all the time, even if
I
she's
love
not
this
with
series.
Them.
So what was your just first impressions or whatever? Whoa! Okay, why?
Which team were you? Were you Team Dorian or Team Kale?
I was Team Dorian. Yeah.
Whatever, get out.
We're all like, interesting choice.
Yes, please do tell.
It's kind of changed a little bit. I think.
How far have you gotten in the series now? Are you still just book one? Or?
No, I finished book 2 a couple days ago, which I called big reveal at the end of book 2. I saw that one coming. But
yeah, why Dorian?
Oh right, that's the end of book 2.
Yeah, but social media kind of helped me with that because they were talking about this. I'm like, who is that? I haven't, anyway.
Yes, I had some trouble when I was reading reviews too. We don't want to spoil for people who haven't read them yet, but it's a twisty series, and if you don't want to know stuff, don't read reviews of future books.
Yeah.
So why Team Dorian?
Because he wasn't the obvious choice. I think that's who I usually pick. Yeah.
I thought he was the obvious choice.
I think that Kale was the obvious choice because they were always training together and stuff. So I like the prince because he's not the obvious choice. Sorry, did I say that? Anyway,
about you.
You guys.
I like them both as characters, and they did get like happy endings.
Took a while
with stuff that we can't talk about because there's a lot of stuff that happens in those books. But I had a lot of trouble reading the first book of that series. I actually went on Goodreads to see if people liked the second book. This was before Bookstagram. And saw how many people liked it and then how many more people liked book 3 and pushed through because I found it it just felt very typical YA fantasy love triangle thing. I like enjoyed it-ish, but I was just like, is this going somewhere? I don't know.
See, this was one of my first YA fantasies that I read, and so I was on board from page 1. I loved it, and I just soared through that. Team Kale all the way, because I mean, if you sweat together, you're gonna love together. So
yes,
run side by side through life as you do push-ups, and I love it.
That's great. So my controversial opinion on that is that I haven't read past the middle of book 3.
What?
Yeah. I loved book 1 so hard, and I loved book 2 even more because I call it the kale book, but
It is.
yeah, it is, and I loved it so much. And then book 3 happened, and like some things got spoiled to me because I didn't read it when they were coming out. I read them when I think book 4 came out, I think. And so some things got like spoiled for me while I was reading book 3, and then I was like, I don't want this. I don't want this. I'm going to quit. It's fine.
And we are the opposite, because after book 3, I was like, hallelujah, I am on board. This is now my favorite.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, I want to finish it. I do want to read them, but it's a big series and it's a big commitment.
It is a big series.
Knowing a lot of the things that happen does take away from like the excitement of discovery for it, especially when it comes to like the love triangle and the romance and all that stuff. But I don't know, maybe one of these days. I just get so sad when every single time I pick a boy, he doesn't get what I want him to get. And
I feel like just saying that has like, it's so hard not to be spoilery about this series.
You don't know. Yeah, no, but you don't know, because I could be talking about a lot of things.
There's a lot of boys.
There's a lot of boys.
There are a lot
series.
of boys. Don't
There's
get too
a lot of
attached.
stuff.
That's all I'm saying. Don't get too attached to them. It's a long series.
Yeah.
Which I honestly was okay with, because I kind of feel like maybe it's realistic to not fall in love with the first person you ever date and be with them for the rest
That's more
of your
spoiler
life.
than what I said.
I meant that the first person you met. I was going for the triangle still.
Yes, there you go.
Nothing. Feel free to bleep out anything we can. I don't know anything.
No.
I
That is way too much work. You guys are getting this raw.
We're trying our best, but these books have been out for a while.
Yeah, go for it, Hannah.
I read White Hot Kiss by Jennifer L. Armentrout, because everyone's like, Jennifer Armentrout, and then I found it for $1.99, so then I bought it. And it is, I just have to remember everyone's names here. So we've got Layla, and Layla is a half gargoyle, half demon, as you are.
Whoa, wait, half gargoyle?
Yeah, yeah. So the gargoyles are like in human form, only when they're fighting or like want to be gargoyle-y, then they have like stone skin and wings and stuff, and they're tasked with protecting humanity from demons.
Oh, that's epic. I've never heard of that. That's so cool.
So she was raised by the gargoyles, the wardens, who they like raised her as one of their own, kind of, but also like shamed her for being half demon the whole time. So it was kind of like, you're a good kid, but you might turn out evil, never leave the compound.
Yeah,
that's
normal response.
Normal stuff. So, and also, I love these tropes. If she kisses someone, she kills them.
Oh,
so she
I love
can't
it.
kiss people. It like suck their soul out of them or something. I can't remember exactly, but she will steal your soul if she kisses you. So she has always been in love with Zane, who is her like foster brother-ish. Like they're like raised together. I don't know. He feels apparently in this book very brotherly, like big brother towards her. That's how he acts anyway. And she's like always loved him. And he's very nice, and she can't kiss him because she would kill him. And he's trying to protect her from stuff all the time in a slightly obnoxious way. But some people like that sort of thing. And then she meets Roth, who's a demon. I'm always like, I just like cannot explain these books. I'm like, I'm sorry. But like a nice-ish demon, he's an upper level demon, and the lower demons are all like crawly, gross things. And he, of course, is hot. And I believe he has dark hair, which I always go for.
Me too.
And dun dun dun, he has no soul, so she can't kill him by kissing him.
So much
because she can't steal his soul from him. Oh my goodness. So, and they're trying to prevent the destruction of the world. Blah blah blah.
Oh, yeah,
no one really cares
that.
because it's all like, will she go for the guy who has no soul, but also seems more nice and supportive, honestly, in a lot of ways. And, and he has kittens.
Oh, the redeemable quality. I love it.
I know. He has kittens, and she can make out with him. So that seems fun. But then it's like, but maybe Zane actually does have feelings for her. dun dun dun, and he's much nicer, but doesn't have kittens, so I don't know.
And he has a soul and could die.
And he has a soul, so she could suck it out of him and kill him, so she can't make out with him.
I like how disgusted Abby was when she said that he has a soul.
You're like, who wants a guy with a soul?
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of is the Shatter Me series with what's Julie,
but with more demons.
More demons and gargoyles, but like
and kittens. Are there kittens in it?
No kittens, but the writing's really lyrical. It's like petting a kitten. I don't know, but with words.
The writing is as beautiful as a soft kitten.
Yes.
Maybe that shouldn't say things so ridiculous. I'm like, don't read my books. I swear I don't sound like this when I write.
I might. So
maybe I will in the future, though. Anyway, she does not choose a guy by the end of this book. And Valia, who loves to have opinions. Oh, could you hear her eye roll audibly over the podcast? Because I haven't finished this series, because even though it was fun, but it wasn't like fun enough for me to spend $10 on the next ebook. So I haven't finished it up yet. So I don't know who she ends up with. But Valia knows who she ends up with, because apparently she let her readers decide. How did she do this?
Yeah, so I guess the publisher was like, let's do a contest to see who the readers will vote to have Layla to end up with. And so they had like a website where you go and you vote on if you wanted it to be Zane or if you wanted it to be Race. I always feel like Roth. There you go. I always go back to the Sarah J. Maas because Reese is like everywhere, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, so she had them like basically vote, and they weren't going to announce it until the book came out. You had to read the book to find out who it was.
That's clever.
I was going to say, is this
clever.
Bad, though? Because
yes.
I'm pretty impressed by it.
No, it is. I thought it was a very good marketing strategy because it got people involved in the series who've never even read it.
Right.
Because readers love to have an opinion, obviously. Like, our whole podcast is us having an opinion about other, stories. And readers love that, and having having the opportunity to control something as vital as a love interest, that is huge. And yeah,
because we all want our guy to win in a triangle.
Yeah.
So to actually get to vote for it, I could see the appeal. Yeah. But it does take away a bit of the magic of believing that they're real people who make their own choices.
True, but I don't think it really mattered in this case, because I think the people were just so strongly one guy or the other that they wanted to have the control for it.
But you weren't mad that they had a contest. You were mad that your guy lost.
Yes,
correct?
because well, I want to say like it's a spoiler if I say who won, or like if I said who I picked or whatever. So I'm going to be just general, and then I have a very specific way that I look at stories, and I always pick a guy who loses. And in this case, the majority of the people voted for the guy I did not pick. And I called it even before I voted on it, because I was like, I bet you anything I'm not going to win, or whatever. And I was right. And it upset me that I bought the last book, but
did
I
you
haven't
read
read
it?
No, I
you
read
haven't
the
read
book.
She likes to buy books and then glare at them.
Yes.
I was wondering how well it came off, to have the readers vote ahead of time, if it felt believable, because when I write a series, I know who they're going to end up with in the end.
Yeah, so it did. I read half of it, basically. The moment that I knew where it was going in the story of who it was going to be at the end, I stopped, because I didn't want to be there for it. But it was believable. I think Jen is a really good writer in the sense that she writes what people want to read. I don't know a better way to explain that. Her books are very bingeable because she writes what people want to read. And this series was no different. I mean, you guys know I love her Covenant series. I love those books to pieces. And while this series wasn't my favorite, it still had the same feelings and the same writing style and the same I could binge it and I could be really involved in these characters and stuff. And I was upset, but I can't control everything, which I know it's just
you gotta write your own books, and then your guy always wins.
They should have done a battle, Like have one reader, instead of just a vote online thing, have one reader who's team foster brother, other one who's team Roth, and then have like a bloodbath about it. And
Like have them actually battle.
yeah,
like,
that would have been so much more
online.
epic. And then like
Online.
it fades to black right before you find out, and then you can buy the book, and then you find out who actually won or died. That would have been
That would work
cool.
well for Hunger Games.
True. True.
That's hilarious. Actually.
Bloodthirsty Abby is bad.
I am a little bit bloodthirsty.
I do hate, okay, I'm going to mention this now. I do hate when the love triangle is resolved by one person dying. I hate
I don't like that
Oh
either.
yeah.
so much.
Same.
It's
Same.
a cheap
It is
shot.
lame.
It is, and and it always feels like it was just a way to get rid of the love interest. It didn't do anything for the character itself. It wasn't like a redemption story for anybody or a next level, like a hero's death or anything like that. It's literally the only reason is because they needed this person out of the way because they needed the love triangle to be over. Anyway, sorry.
I have
Hanna.
to tell you what team I was on before I finish off, and then you have to not give a reaction.
Okay.
So that other
No
people
reaction.
don't know who wins in the end. But
Okay,
I
cool, go
was
for it.
Team Roth, and it might have had something to do with the kittens. I'm not sure.
So you're team
But
pet store
also-
manager.
Only if it's a hot demon.
Without a soul.
Without a
Out of soul. This is back to the questionable taste in fictional men. I'm like, I know Zane was nicer, but he also felt very wishy-washy about it, and I like that Roth would like go for what he wants and not just be like, well, there's so many other factors, and I'm gonna hang out with this other girl and blah blah blah. Yeah, so there's my thoughts. But I wasn't actually like obviously super invested either way, or I would have read books 2 and 3 by now. I don't
True.
mind a love triangle, but I don't live for the love triangle. I'm kind of like I live for the romance, and if the romance happens to be a love triangle, then as long as it's well written, I will read it. So I'm not a hater. I am an indifferent person to love triangles. I'm like, they can be good, they can be bad.
I like love shapes.
Yeah, it's true.
We exist. We just don't want to get involved in the battles. 'Cause
Exactly.
They're so
You just
scary.
yeah. That's interesting. You like my stoic face? I did nothing. There was
I like
nothing.
it. I like it.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I think you were excellent. I think they won't know.
Thank
They can
you
go
so
look it up on
much.
Google if they need to find out.
Exactly. You can spoil yourself. I will not
Okay.
do it for you.
And these are always the ones where I'm like, I feel like I'm just giving bad life advice. Don't go after hot demon boys, even if they have kittens. It's bad. You should go for the nice boy.
That's hilarious.
Moving on.
So speaking of that, the whole demons versus nice boys, there is a TikTok that I saw. It was yesterday or the day before, and it was like, the ugly boys are gonna treat you just as bad as the cute boys, so you can just go for the face. And I'm like, that is a terrible advice. You shouldn't be doing that either. Anyway, but Abby, let's talk about your book now.
All right. Well, I had more of a love rectangle rather than a love
Oh,
triangle,
interesting.
which fits
Wow,
because I
okay.
kind of like the more complicated shapes, like
Yeah.
The love
octagon, the
pentagrams.
pentagrams. Yeah, I'm more into that. So I read The Beholder by Anna Bright. So it's a YA. It's a little bit like Red Queen in the sense that this is America, but it's not America that
Okay.
we know. So similar kind of fantasy, but not fantasy-ish vibe. And so the main character's name is Selah. At least that's how I think you pronounce it, is Selah. And she likes Peter, who she's known her entire life, the boy next door. And
Oh, the boy next door.
I know, gotta love them. So not a spoiler because it happens within like the first chapter or two. So if you don't even get past that, like that's on you. So she has to pick a guy to spend the rest of her life with. And so she is at this big ball. She proposes publicly to him and he basically shoots her down. And I mean, first that sucks because you're in front of everybody and you just had your
Yeah.
heart stomped on. But her lovely stepmother, Alessandra, has the perfect solution. is to send her out kind of like selection style, where she meets a bunch of boys, but she has to do it across the ocean. So like the UK version of the selection. And so she gets to get on a ship and sail the 7 seas and meet a bunch of boys and pick one of them to fall in love with and get married to. So you have Bear, who is kind of from the equivalent of England. And then you have Torden, who is kind of from Norway-ish. And then you also have some chemistry with Lang, which is the Beholder's captain, the Beholder being the ship. So, and Lang has secrets of his own. So I personally was hoping for Lang to work out. There's no like complete conclusion at the end of this. So I haven't read beyond book 1 yet. So
is it a series?
It is a series. I believe it's a trilogy. Okay. And so, yeah, I just really liked the whole Red Queen America-ish, but not the world building. And I love like Bachelorette stuff. Well, okay, sort of. My husband's really into the Bachelorette. Like,
he's been outed now.
He's been outed. It's kind of funny. He's a counselor, so he likes to like psychologically diagnose like all the people on The Bachelor. So he'll bring his like big old diagnostic manual down into the basement and just sit there for hours.
Goodness.
It's pretty funny.
Awesome.
So I've been roped into it and now I kind of enjoy it. I'm there for the drama. So if
my husband and I
like,
watch it too, and we're both there for the drama.
Yeah, like if everything's working well, I'm like, yeah, this is boring. Like, where's the mean guy? Like, I like that. And I did like the chemistry with Lang. To me, that felt the most like realistic. And
sometimes the one that's like not the choice you're supposed to make is the most intriguing one.
Yeah. And then it's also like a small.
Valia's like boy next door.
True. Because you it also brings back Peter a little bit like as an option, which is kind of cool. And then so it really is like a love rectangle. But then as you're reading the book, in front of a lot of the chapters as like little epigraphs or whatever were these fairy tale quotes. So you could kind of see some of the fairy tale influences in this book. And I just really loved that.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a really clever thing to do.
Interesting.
So if you love The Bachelor and you love like America, not America,
writing it down.
Joanna's excited. That's good. I've seen it, but I haven't read it. Like I think that's the only book. Yeah, it's the only book out of the ones that we discussed that I was like, what is this? I'm gonna have to look into it.
The cover's beautiful. Like that really cool looking ship on it. Like I wanted to read it.
The cover is beautiful. But didn't make me think that it was a romance rectangle.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm now more intrigued about.
Hanna needs her romance.
I do need my romance. Yeah. I'm not subtle about it.
No. That's cool, though. I think I might have mentioned this on the episode before, but I have. When we talked about the books we haven't finished, like that we did not finish, I have one that's like actually on the list, and it's with like a love rectangle
rhombus.
I don't know. She had like 4. I think she had like 4 guys that she was like trying to, or maybe 5 actually, that she was like in between. But all of it happened within like the first like 2 or 3 chapters, and it was just like how do you have so many guys just so in love with you right off the bat? Like this is it wasn't believable enough that I was invested in any of it. And I was just annoyed. Very, very annoyed.
Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I was like, give me some of this fantasy, because the cover for that was just beautiful. And I was like, give me some of the fantasy elements and all of the other stuff, and at least 1 or 2 guys to root for, because right now I just wanted all of them gone. Oh. It's like, this is terrible. But anyway, so that's like interesting, because you don't hear a lot about like unless you're like reverse harem reader.
True.
You don't get a YA with it's like more than one guy beyond the love triangle very often.
I think it's probably because YA generally tries to have a more like, I don't want to say simple plot, but usually it's like a little bit more straightforward and easier to graph, and you can't do that as easily with 8 men. Whatever, you know. It gets a little bit complicated. You kind of need more points of view to keep them straight.
And all the hormones. I mean, golly, living with one dude is hard enough. There's so much hormones, but like you add in a triangle or a rhombus or like an octagon.
Well, one hopes they don't all live together.
Well, I mean,
But,
think
if
of
you're doing
college.
reverse harem, you have to. Are they
Yeah.
all on the ship, or is it? I thought she was going. No, she was going over the ship.
Yeah,
on the
they're
ship
not
to
all on
meet
the
them.
ship. But I mean,
Oh, okay.
yeah, but like,
That's when murders happen.
yeah,
Just throw some people off the ship.
I would have been very. Oh my gosh, I would love that book. If it's a ship full of like bachelor and murders, I would. Oh my gosh, I want to read that book.
She's like, all my things in one book.
No, for real, that would be awesome.
You write that one, Abby. That's your next.
There you go.
Yes,
Your next
I would. I would write. I would write the crap
But it'd be
out
in
of that.
space because
A spaceship. They're all on a
Yeah,
spaceship.
Yeah, you just
and
flood
you can
them.
just airlock them when
Yep.
It's a lot cleaner.
and they get canceled.
That's hilarious. Actually, I would read that too.
I know,
I
right?
would read it.
Like, especially some of the love interests weren't like human; they're aliens or something. That could be cool.
Then Stacy will read it.
Yeah, Stacey will read it.
Give them some horns.
There you go.
She's in.
That's interesting. I do love like how different people are when it comes to the love triangles, like their different opinions, because it's also the different people. Like you're never gonna have two guys that are the boys next door. You're gonna have two like complete opposites, you know. I mean, I guess it's a little bit different if I think of like the Hunger Games, you have more of like, but no, actually it still fits with what I was gonna say. You always, from what I know, you always have like somebody who's like the best friend or like the childhood or whatever. And that's always like either he's in love with the main girl or she's been secretly in love with him. Because it's like, I always feel like there's that like childhood connection. I don't think I've ever really read one. I mean, besides like the Throne of Glass, I would say.
In Twilight, it's not a childhood connection.
And same with like
Like she
Vampire
becomes
Diaries.
friends
No.
with Jacob after.
It is because she
Yeah.
no, but she knows Jacob and
No,
Jacob
she didn't know
loves
Jacob.
her.
Like they met in the first
No,
book.
she knew him when they were kids. They like made
She knew-
they made like mud
Yes.
pies together when they were like really
Did
little.
they? Because I know I was like, she didn't live there though.
No, they knew each other when they were kids.
Clearly, I need to reread.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I was like, it still fits because he has been like into her since then, and then he like even in the movie, I think they mention it too for like a second, so that you're like not, because yeah, when they like meet for the first time, she was just like they hug and whatever because like they already knew each other.
I try to forget the movies, but
yes, but in the books it's made evidence too. But that's the same thing, like even with Hunger Games, like yeah, she knew Peeta because he lived in, you know, whatever, but Gale was her friend, you know, and he's been the one that's been into her and stuff like that. So I find that like interesting when you really think about it, is that most of the times you don't have like two complete strangers
Vampire Diaries.
show up.
Oh yeah,
Well,
Vampire Diaries.
yeah. But then there's a connection between the brothers. Like,
Oh,
That's true.
true.
That's true.
so I don't know. That's yeah.
Well, and then if you're
Anyways.
gonna say Throne of Glass, there's a connection
Oh yeah,
with the two guys.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's not like too complete. Yeah, it's not. It's never like all strangers. So
well,
that's-
because that leads to more complicated emotions, which is what we like out of it. You want like a lot of conflict in their
Drama.
feelings. Yes,
Yeah.
you want drama.
that's true. That is actually a really good lead into my book.
Speaking of drama,
Speaking of drama, no. So I read Nightshade by Andrea Kramer, and her name is not Kramer anymore. I think it's Robertson. I think she writes as Andrea Robertson now. But this was like one of my first like werewolf books in young adult fantasy that I like just fell in love with just the genre of it, or like the lore of the werewolves in young adult fantasy. But anyway, the book centers around Kala, and she is a werewolf, basically. She so in this world, they have werewolves, and they are basically guardians to the keepers. And the keepers are like witches and warlocks. And so there's this whole government situation where there's some things, people and other things want to kill the witches. And so the guardians are basically their tasks, kind of like the Vampire Academy, where you have like the protection of like the half vampires, where is it, the Dampiers, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. It's like a play on that. So Kala is a werewolf, and once she graduates from the high school, she is gonna marry another alpha of, another pack, and they're gonna like lead the pack together to protect the keepers. Like that's
And have puppies.
And have puppies. Yeah, that's her. That's her like whole thing. And so the alpha wolf is Ren, and so they've known each other for this longest time, and he's very much the flirtatious bad boy. But they're gonna get married. Like that's they're supposed to, because the keepers told them they're getting married. So all of that happens, but Kala, being her little rebellious self, ends up saving a human's life, and enters Shay, who is the human boy that it becomes her love interest, because apparently she just didn't want the sexy werewolf guy. She wanted a little
choices you make.
Yeah, human boy. And there's a lot of things that happen in between that. There's just a lot of like secrets that she finds out about who she is, and like who the keepers are, and just a lot of stuff. But basically the love triangle in this is the human boy and the alpha wolf that she is like betrothed to. And I really liked this book. I like the trilogy, but it is also the trilogy I did not finish, because I found out that the love triangle was solved by a death.
You gotta start reading these book 3s like the week they come out, so you don't get spoiled.
I know. Seriously, it was funny though, because this trilogy was spoiled to me at the same time another trilogy I was reading got spoiled to me, and it was the same thing. It was like both of these were by a death, and the other one was the Hex Hall series by Rachel Hawkins. It's a academy book about all these witches, warlocks, everything you can think of in this academy, and then there's a love triangle there, and it gets taken care of by a death. Anyway,
so you're like, what do I even read now?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm done. We're done here.
Traumatized.
Basically, yes, because I'm like, give me a good, like, it's the same thing when I get really upset when authors like kill off characters just for the shock value. I'm like, no, if there's a reason, okay, cool. But if you're just doing it just to like rile up some feathers, like, get out of here. I don't want this. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But I really liked, I had a lot of problems with Kala as a character, because she just was very wishy-washy, which I feel like fits in with the love triangle trope as well.
If you clearly know what you want, you don't end up with a love triangle.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, there was like that aspect of it, but I felt like there was an obvious choice in the love triangle here too. And none of you have read this, right?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so yeah, I'm by myself over here. But I felt like there was an obvious choice, and not just an obvious choice in the way that it was like, it was just would have been a better choice. Like, it was an obvious but a better choice, and I don't think that happens very often when I read the love triangles, because sometimes I'm like, the better choice would be the other guy, but the obvious choice is, this person, and that's who she ends up with, or not, whatever. Anyway, there's a lot that I can say about the series, but I can't, because none of you have read it.
It's very difficult to discuss love triangles without giving away endings.
Yes. But I like the writing. I hated when they did the cover rechange. Like, I actually posted about this a couple months back on my Instagram, because I was like, look at this cover, and look at the horrible cover they put on it. But I don't know. The love triangle thing is just so interesting to me, because you really just have to, I don't know, like, I don't think I could ever write a love triangle, honestly.
That's fair.
I've thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I love it enough.
I think
Joanna's gonna write a love rectangle, though.
Yes, please do.
I've written a fake love triangle. And
Ooh.
my current series, everyone thinks it's a love triangle. It kind of looks like it, but it's really not.
It's a red herring situation.
Kind of, yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I could. Even though it kind of fascinates me from a writer's point of view, because I'm like, could I make like my readers really root for a certain guy? Like, without making it obvious?
I don't know
That'd be
either.
tricky.
Yeah.
It really is tricky.
I was gonna say, I would like sometime, like right now I write standalones, but if I wrote a long series, I would be entertained by writing a bait and switch romance, because I actually quite enjoy them because I think you get like the guy you think they're going to end up with, but if the other guy's there all along too, then you get like this really long slow burn romance out of it, which I really like while still having some romance in the beginning. And I feel like sometimes they learn things about themselves in the first one, and why it doesn't work out teaches them like about their personality, stuff like that, but not like a whole like, well, I won't they, you like, you're sure you're going to go with number one, and then it's like not working out and things happen and you switch over in the course of like 6 books or something.
Yeah, but I think
okay
that's different than a love triangle, because I'm okay with that. But I think
that's what I would rather write than a love triangle, if I was going to have more than one male love interest.
Yeah, because I think that's natural. It's like that's normal. Mm-hmm. Like you are growing as a person, and you are like changing, so maybe like who you are changes or whatever. Like, you know, I think that's normal. But with the love triangle, like it happens so fast. And it's very like a ping pong the whole time. So it's like unless you write like your characters in a way where you're like, okay, she's like invested in this person and this person at the same time, like I don't think that's possible. I don't think
so either.
Yeah,
especially when they're like, no, I really truly love them both, but who's the right choice? And I'm like, well,
like
I guess.
I don't know, I'm kind of like, if you can't decide between two, like, if you don't know the right choice for you, are you really in a position you should be making that choice? Like, are you mature enough?
You need a third line.
Which brings us back to one of the previous books.
Yes. But yeah, that's why I think I would never be able to like write it. And I think I just get angry at authors sometimes to pick like the popular choice for by the readers, instead of being like, these are the reasons why these two are together, not just because it's going to be like more fun for the audience, whatever. But also like as an author, you want your people and like readers involved enough to be passionate about who they choose or whatever. So I don't know.
My recommendation for the next one I'll just talk about, because I know the author and I was chatting with her while she's writing these books, and it was funny because she's a discovery author, like a pantser, we call it, like you don't know what's going to happen until you write it. So she was like, I'm not sure which one he's going to end up with, but I'm team whoever. And I'm like, well, you're going to write that then, aren't you? And she's like, well, I guess we'll see.
Oh, that's so
but
cool.
But she also okay, so I'll just tell you, it's the Elite Trials trilogy by Becky Moynihan, and Becky is the sweetest girl ever and just lives to torture her readers, I swear it. It's not even just like in books, but also like in the group. She loves to like give tiny hints about things and make people stew. She loves to post like tiny teasers of the cover and like wait until you're like, please give me the rest of the cover. So the love triangle is like a very obvious choice for her to write, because then she got to like mess with her readers for 3 whole books. It sounds mean, but she's very good at it, and we loved her for it. So the Elite Trials trilogy is dystopian, which I'm usually actually not super into. But if it's like romance, then you know me. Then I'm on board for it. So it's like, how to describe it? It's in the future, and everything has gone wrong because it's dystopian, and it's very much like the world is kind of wild again, and there's some tribes of people running around, and everyone got wiped out by diseases, and there's this compound where she lives, where she was raised by her foster father, who sent people out to kidnap her and bring her back because she's super special.
Of course.
Yes. And she has to compete in a series of challenges, kind of Hunger Games style, only they don't have to like kill each other, but they're like deadly challenges to become an elite, and the elites are like the nobles or whatever. So she has all this training with her training buddy, guy number 1.
Okay, fine, I'll read it.
Yeah, hired to help her. There's also carnivorous horses. I don't know if that helps anyone.
Ooh, that helps me.
See,
Abby.
there we go. So there's like, so that's the one guy. And in the first book, it's really just him. But then in the second book, he goes missing. This isn't like a big spoiler. And she has to like team up with this other guy that she hates. And I'm like, yes, to go off into the wilderness. And I swear they like fall into icy rivers like 3 times and have to snuggle in sleeping bags. And I'm like, what are you doing to me here though? Like, what's happening? Which one is she going for? And she's like, I don't know.
I like a good snuggle sesh. Those are my favorite.
It was so funny. I was like, oh no, almost hypothermia.
Oh
Better
darn!
get
Gotta
into the sleeping
with
bag.
the hot
and
guy.
It's I always feel like the way I explain books is hilarious. These are the things that stand out in my mind. Sometimes people fall into rivers.
It works for us. We're good.
So it is dystopian, but there's like a bit of like paranormal stuff because they have some mutations from the plague that killed everybody, and there's romance. So I recommend it. I was Team Riker, if you ever read them, and they're really good. And
Cool.
Has a very satisfying ending and does not kill off either boy.
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
but now when I'm reading it, I'm just gonna be like, I have to pick this dude because that's what Hanna picked.
Do not.
Oh.
They're both good. I was not mad with either option.
Oh, okay.
I thought they were both really fun. Okay, this is like the thing we haven't brought up yet is why we picked the bad boys. I almost always pick the bad boys. Except for Jacob, who I say is not the bad boy. And I think it's because they seem like they need it more. I always feel like the
You
nice
need a
boys are
hug.
okay. They do. They need a hug. And in real life, they're toxic and you should stay away from them. But in books, they can help them. And then they could have a happy life together. And they could be okay. Valia, stop rolling your eyes. They could be okay. And the other one is going to find a nice girl somewhere. And if she rejects the bad boy, she's like another person who has rejected him and broken his heart. And he's already been through so much.
I'm getting teary-eyed.
I know.
I think
That's
there
why I go
is.
for the bad boys.
Yeah, there's only, now that I think about it, there's only one series that I've ever gone for the bad boy
Who did you go for the bad boy in?
that I still haven't finished. Joanna. The Clockwork.
You don't
Angel
need to
probably.
actually-
Neither of them are the bad boy.
Will's
like,
the bad
kinda.
boy.
Will's the bad
Will's
boy.
the bad
He
boy.
is, he is.
Yeah, but that's
I
like
did
the
like
only
Will.
series I can think of. So
Oh. You
need to
that
finish
probably
that.
tells you a lot.
We need to have
I
an
do.
intervention. We are going to start, I swear.
We'll just
we're gonna
tie you
spoil
down
for
and
at
make
some
you
point.
read all the third books to series. That's like all you'll read.
Like this one, how have you not been spoiled for this, by the way? Like, how?
Oh, I love that series so much. When I read it, I worked hard at not getting spoiled, and I'm a little proud of myself at this point
Yeah,
I'm
you
proud
should
of you
be.
too.
for staying this long.
But I think
no,
if you had been spoiled, you would have finished the books by now.
really.
Oh, that was a
100%.
lot.
I'm getting
Anyway,
closer and closer to spoiling you
now
every
that
time
I've
we
been
talk about
spoiled.
this. I did not.
No, I will read it actually. It's on my March TBR because my March is was on my March TBR that I did not get to. But it's on my spring TBR, I should say.
Spring TBR.
Because I am determined to read 6 books from my 21 books list in the spring. So I'm like separating them
Spacing them out.
into seasons. And it's
I
on
promise
there.
I didn't spoil the ending. It's just a complicated
It
ending.
is
You should
it's a
just-
good
you
ending.
should
though.
just
She does
It is
it.
a
She
good ending.
ends it very well.
It's worth reading.
just please read the book so we can talk about it.
Okay, well you still can't talk about it on here. 'cause
No,
don't
but
wanna
we
spoil
can
other
talk
people.
about it. off of
I feel like
here.
we'll have to have a
True.
mini episode just for readers to know, listeners to know that you finally finished
That's
reading
true.
it and what
we
you
should
thought.
we should
We'll just
have a
put it at the
spoiler.
end. We'll be
There you
like,
go.
continue listening for the next 10 minutes to find out what Valia finally thought at the end of it.
Okay, perfect. We shall do that.
Well, my book that I wanted to recommend was Dystopian 2. So we have a dystopian theme going on. But I read The Mirror Souls by Julia Scott. So this is also a trilogy, but the third book isn't out yet. But what I liked about this was kind of the whole dystopian, because there's something usually unique in this dystopian world, like divergence. They have to take that test and get sorted into their houses or whatever. And
That's
so
Harry
this
Potter.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Pretty much.
Close enough. So they have something called shift day. So on shift day, everyone has to move and they're forced into a new profession. So it's
I thought they'd be shifters and they get to shift and shift.
I know. That would have been cool.
That'd be fun.
That'd have been cool. And so the main character's name's Alana, And she's like super worried they'll be chosen to shift around with everybody else. And while they aren't chosen, there's a new boy, aka named Dre, who moves in across the street. So there's your boy next door. But the twist kind of happens when Alana finds what's called a CTL. It's basically a mini transportation device, which is like underneath her pillow. And it takes her to a boy named Aiden. And so there's like a connection, and he's the strange boy. And, you know, you got to have one of those. And so the mirror souls is supposed to be like an actual thing. So there's real people called mirror souls, and they're not necessarily romantic, but there's like an actual electric physical connection between the two people that will eventually build up to have this like literal electricity burst come out of them. And it's a threat to like the Avalon alien people who kind of look like humans and are there ruling the earth with them. And I really liked that it's set in the United Kingdom. So just imagine everyone having accents, and it makes everyone like super sexy. So
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, like, I don't know. I just like that's not set in America. So it was just fun to kind of imagine what they would all sound like. So if you like aliens-ish / Earth invasion / love triangle / dystopian, then yeah, pick up the Mirror Souls.
That sounds kind of
good.
entertaining.
It sounds similar to the one that I wanted to recommend too. The Configured Trilogy by Janetta Penner. Also dystopian.
Hey.
Wow, it's a thing apparently.
I know.
It also has a day like the shift day. I want to say it's called the Configured Day. I read the whole trilogy a couple of weeks ago, but it's where like the government chooses what your profession is going to be for the rest of your life. And the main character, Evelyn Lark, she's really super smart with like coding and computers. And so she gets a job in like coding with computers, but there's this rebel group that contacts her and wants her to help with them. And she learns how to like immerse with like technology. Like she can like virtual reality into a computer to like code and find things. So it's a really cool concept. But we have the boy who lives in the society who is like her perfect match, and they're perfect together in every way. But then there's the rebel boy who contacts her and wants her to help take down the corrupted government. And
we're already on board with the rebel boy, and I haven't even like read it.
So yes, I read the whole trilogy. I liked it. It was good.
Cool. I have been like thinking about how many love triangle books are out there, and young adult really has so many. Like a lot of the, even like recently that we talked about, the books that we talked about, most of them do have love triangles in them, even if they're just like under the surface and not the main focus.
I feel like urban fantasy and dystopian especially seem to pull love triangles.
Yeah, but that was really fun. I like really love that discussion. I feel like we can also do like a spoiler episode where we just really pick the popular books and like discuss them in the love triangle trope and just like
and if we agreed with who won or not.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we'll do that one of these days and just do like, I don't know, individual
we should do one like
books.
one ending we loved and what ending we hated from books we've read.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But I think we need to do it after you finish the Clockwork Trilogy.
Because you're putting that on the list.
Yes. That can be our spoiler episode.
Yeah, okay.
Listen to have all your favorite books spoiled.
Yes. I think that's a fun idea, and I think we should do that. And this was fun, too. So I really enjoyed this talk, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, too. And I hope the listeners will enjoy it, because, I don't know, I feel like love triangle is just a staple of like young adult books. Really. It's what everybody always thinks of. If I say young adult, they're always like, oh, you write love triangles. I'm like, no. But I understand why you would think though.
I feel like it goes with like that messy hormone teenage thing. Maybe
it really
a little
does.
bit.
It does.
I don't know who I like.
True. But if you guys wanted to pick up any of these books that we are discussing, if you haven't read them, there is a bookshop page set up for your convenience that has all the books under this episode. So all the episodes are separated and the books are on there. And you can buy a book, support an indie bookstore. It's a win-win and it's great. Next week, we're going to have Kristen and Stacy back, and Joanna will be back as well. But we are saying a quick goodbye to Hanna and Abby.
Bye.
Goodbye. We'll be back soon.
Yes. Before we go, though, I want to hear what everybody's reading next week. So, Joanna, what's on your list for this week?
Well, I'm almost finished with it, but I'm reading The Princess Trials by Cordelia K. Castell.
Okay.
I'm almost finished with it. Speaking of books like The Selection, it's pretty
I
good.
have that one on my Kindle. I've been wanting to read it.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Nice. Hanna, what about you?
First, I have to say a sad thing that happened, in which I was reading this Regency romance, but it was out of the library on Overdrive, and at 86%, it auto-returned because it was out of time. I was like, maybe I can finish it. Will they ever get together? Will I ever find out?
You will never know.
I don't know. Maybe not. But I'm reading Sisters of Sword and Song by someone who wrote the book Sisters of Sword and Song. I'm only at like chapter 4, but one of my friends, it's her favorite book, so I'm excited to read it.
Is that
It's
Rebecca Ross? Is that her book? No? Maybe? Okay,
maybe.
Cool. Sorry.
It's cool. It's like fantasy, but kind of like ancient Greco-Roman world fantasy.
Okay. That sounds good. Abby, what about you?
I am continuing my thriller binge, and I'm decided to read all the rest of Andrew Main's books. So I'm on number 4 of the Naturalist series, and I don't know, it's been serial killers, man. Like, I've just been reading a lot of serial killers. And then I should get Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab tomorrow, so I'm hoping to dive into that little ghostly story.
Creepy middle grade.
Yeah, so between my serial killer and my creepy middle grade, I'm all set for the week.
Nice.
I love how happy you are about it.
I'm so happy about it.
Well, speaking of serial killers, I actually downloaded the first book in that series by Andrew Main. So
I'll be
reading that this week. I think it's in Amazon Prime. So I was like, ooh, okay, let me just grab that. So I'm going to start that because I haven't actually read anything this week. So I'm like, I should probably do that. But I will be letting you know.
Yes, it's so good.
I'm excited. But yeah, thanks for listening to the Reading Queens. Before you go, please take a moment to leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Reading Queens Pod, and then stay tuned for next week. Happy reading.
Bye.
Bye.